I have beef with this series. January, February, March reading wrap up. Basically almost quarter one done of the year, and I thought, why not go through the 16 books that I've read so far. I have not done a reading wrap up since last year, so let's do it. Hi, hello, if you're new here, welcome. I make lots of productive reset, travel, and a little sprinkle of reading videos on my channel. And if you're not new here, then welcome back. I love to have you here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But today we are getting cozy and we are going through 16 books I have read so far. I have a few here physically with me. The rest I've either audiobooked or read on my Kindle. So let's just jump straight into it. If you've stumbled across my channel because of reading, then hello, we share a very similar interest, and I absolutely love reading, and I try and fit it into my busy schedule as often as I can. So my reading goal this year, I believe, was 52 books, and we have read 16 so far. So let's get into the first 3 months of the year reading wrap up. Starting off with the first few books, I do not own the physical copy yet, but I was in a bit of a reading slump, I would say, and I got into a bit of a self-help era. But before I did that, I was on holiday in Thailand. If you haven't seen that travel vlog, go have a look. But the book I read while I was in Thailand in January was Bear Town by, Frederick Backman. Now, this book took me on a journey, like an emotional journey. I had seen this book hyped up so much. I really do want to complete the series. So I feel like you'll be seeing me read the other two books. I think one's called Winners, and I don't know what the other one is called, but I really hope it doesn't let me down, because I could so easily see how that book could have just ended with the first one. So I'm really curious to where it does go as a series. I rated Bear Town like a 4.5 stars, and one of those books I feel like I need to reread because there was so many what felt like Easter eggs hidden in the end there, and the way it wrapped up was just so like a whirlwind. I don't know how else to describe it, but basically Bear Town is a very cold, freezing town. I don't know why I read it when I was in boiling hot Thailand, but it really does take you on a journey of characters, the scenery, and the competitiveness as they are ice hockey in a very small town called Bear Town that have huge dreams. I don't know what else to say, but get ready for an emotional roller coaster. I did not cry, but I feel like this book could definitely make you cry. All right, moving on. Booktube was a self-help book, and it's going viral like everywhere on the internet. So if you haven't heard of The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, what are you doing? For me, this book was just perfect timing, so I really did enjoy it, but it's not something that I haven't heard before. Mel Robbins just has a way of re-explaining things and self-help things that really like hit deep for people. So I understand the hype, and I would definitely recommend. I just feel like I've heard it before and it was a great reminder. I don't really rate self-help books, you know, probably just like 3 stars, but absolutely did love it. It was a really good audiobook. I highly recommend it as an audiobook in the car when you're driving. Get that momentum, that productivity. But yeah, it would be probably one of my top self-help books that I would always recommend because of the way it's written and the way you can digest it. It is really beautiful. I was on a self-help journey and I read The 4 Agreements. This is by Miguel Ruiz. I don't know, it's a very old book and something I've wanted to read for so long. Again, I listened to it as an audiobook on my car rides because it was like, you know, 4 agreements. It's very quick to read each agreement. You could probably section it off. It's a very small book, but I did absolutely love it. And I think this one is more powerful than The Let Them Theory because it's unique. There's things that are still just stuck with me from that book that I will never forget, like the mirroring effect, and I've touched on that on my channel before after reading this book. But yeah, I would highly recommend The 4 Agreements, and I definitely want to own the physical copy of this book. It was a bit more of a spirituality, a bit more, I guess, God or whatever you might believe in. I really loved it and felt like it really like nurtured that part of my soul. Then I read Attached because I just wasn't in the mood for some beautiful made-up world with characters, so I continued on this bit of self-help journey. So it's the last self-help book I read so far, but then yeah, I read Attached and I really would recommend it as well. It's about the attachment styles, you know, avoidant, all these things, and I really liked it. I feel like it's just a good thing to reflect on, good tools to navigate and self-reflect, use on yourself, use on people in your life. So yeah, I really loved all those self-help books. Now, not something I commonly do, so I'm not really a self-help book girly, so I don't know what got into me. It was probably the momentum of January, as everyone kind of does. But moving on, I read my first other book from, I mean, I read Beartown, but now we're getting into more of the books. I guess this is a bit of a literary fiction. It was actually our book club pick, but it is Blue Sisters by Coco Mallow. What a beautiful name, Coco Mallow. Anyway, Blue Sisters. I feel like if you are a sister, you will heavily relate to this book. I have brothers, but I could see the beauty in this book, and I feel like it's a 3.5, 4-star. The journey the characters take you on, it's really beautifully written. I definitely get the hype. For me, I just don't resonate with it because I'm not a sister, but I would highly recommend this to anyone. A great like palette cleanser if you're wanting to avoid fantasy and romance as well. I feel like this had the perfect touch of character development. If you really want a character driven book, this is it, not a plot driven. Of course, with the new release being out, I had to read Onyx Storm. I am a big Fourth Wing fan, and something about reading this when the hype was out and everybody was ready for the new release and seeing it all in the stores with all the displays made this like 10 times more enjoyable. Now, did I struggle in the middle chunk like a lot of people did? Absolutely. I feel like this was a tough book to get through, but nonetheless, I love the world, I love the dragons, I love the characters, and the last 100 pages made it all worthwhile because holy moly, like if you know, Rebecca Yarros always leaves you on a cliffhanger. 4 stars because it was not my favorite in the series so far, but given that this is going to be quite a long series and this is just the 3rd book, I feel like it did what it needed to do and I really appreciated it for that. So 4 stars, Onyx Storm. What are you doing if you haven't read Fourth Wing? But it's really tricky, probably time to jump into it because of how hyped up it is. You might, like, I feel like you might get your hopes up. So I don't know, we had to sit with that, but I love Fourth Wing and I will continue to read the series. On Kindle Unlimited, but I do have the physical copy as well, I decided to continue on with this series because I read the first one, I think in like December while I was traveling as well, and I absolutely loved it. So I read Glow of the Everflame because I read Spark of the Everflame, Glow of the Everflame. I have not yet read Heat of the Everflame purely because I'm avoiding that chunky book. Thank God it is on Kindle Unlimited because I feel like it'll help me fly through it sooner. But I just feel like I'm in the middle of a few other kind of deeper fantasy series that I will just wait till I pick that back up. But as far as this series goes, the main character, like the FMC, might irritate you. She really might, but I don't know, I still love it. I like the world building. I feel like this one is really easy to digest. So if you were gonna get into fantasy, I definitely recommend this series. They just get chunkier. Like the first one I read in like 24 hours last year, like really quickly, loved it. This one was a little bit slower to get into and I feel like she was a bit frustrating, but I don't know, I just love it. I feel like there's also a bit of a, it does remind me a bit of like Powerless, Fearless, like Reckless because of like the love triangle a little bit kind of in it. But yeah, if you're ready to get frustrated but enjoy the world building, I loved this and I rated it 4 stars. Another new release that I was really excited for, and this one caught me by surprise because I did not know this was being released so soon early in the year. I love that. I love when I forget. Similar to Fearless that also just came out this week and I quickly pre-ordered it and got it yesterday because I totally forgot that was coming out. But back on track, The Rebel Witch. I absolutely loved The Crimson Moth, or what else is it called? Oh, Heartless Hunter. I think that's the American version. I don't know why in Australia we called it Crimson Moth, but it is the Crimson Moth series. And this is Rebel Witch and I loved it. I just ate it right up, being back in the world. I really do love it. I feel like it reminded me of Divine Rivals and that duology, and how like the second book was like, might have done it for you, it might have not, but you just kind of enjoyed being back with the characters. And I really did enjoy being back with the characters and this world. I feel like it's kind of unique as well. I might be rogue for saying that, maybe it's not. But I just rated this one like a 3.5 stars because I just loved being back with the characters, but it wasn't anything like shocking at my seat. I saw this book everywhere and I just had to get my hands on, and it was one of those things, it was just like a mood reading choice. I went to the bookstore, I saw it and I was like, yes, I want to read that right now, no matter what other book I'm in the middle of. And I am so glad I did because I could not put this down, and I read this in 24 hours, like nearly in one sitting because it was so beautiful. This is The Favourite by Lane Fargo. And oh my god, if you love drama, if you love characters, plot, this was everything. People keep comparing it to like Magnolia Park and like Daisy Jones and the Six because of the way it's kind of written. It feels like it's telling a documentary, like kind of going backwards. This is about an Olympic skater. It's a made-up story, but it is about this Olympic skater and the journey she goes on with her ice skating partners, the drama that is in this. And I feel like as a dancer, I could just like relate to so many things in this, and like how much drama there can be in these kind of competitive, beautiful sports. And the Olympic aspect of it just made it so much fun. And I feel like it just kept like taking me on a roller coaster of emotions. You were angry, you loved them, you hated them. And I seriously cannot recommend it more. If you just want a fast read, palette cleanser, back into drama, loving characters, this book really did it for me. And I haven't come across a book like this in a long time. I want more books like this, to be honest, because they just give you so much joy in the moment. So this was like a 4.5 stars. I feel like it could even be a 5-star if I continue to think about it. Maybe it will be, but it's definitely up there and definitely probably my favorite book of the year so far, because I just loved it. I loved how this just made me really escape from reality like so quickly. When I was in the book, I wasn't thinking about anything else, and you know, sometimes that can be tricky, but the pages just flowed. So I cannot recommend the favorites more. Then I went back to a very small town series that I kind of never finished last year, and when I saw the new book came out, I was like, okay, I need to binge this book. I'd been putting it off for so long. If you know When in Rome by Sarah Adams, I absolutely loved that book and found it so quick, so easy. And I put off Practice Makes Perfect because people had told me it wasn't as good as the first one, and I loved that book so much that I didn't want it to take away. So I picked it up because I saw the new book was out, and I was like, I need to read this first. And I contemplated not reading it, but I'm so glad I did because I really loved it. I love this whole series, this whole small town, this found family. It's just beautiful. The first one was still my absolute favorite, but this one came second, like a 3.5 stars for me. The first one was like a 4 to 4.5. This one's a 3-star. I loved it. And then with the new one coming out following Another Sister, we had Beg, Borrow or Steal. And I also really loved this one, but it was probably my least favorite out of the series. I feel like for me, it goes When in Rome, Practice Makes Perfect, and then Beg, Borrow or Steal. This one was very predictable, but I did love it. But I preferred the characters in this one. I don't know, I just love this little town series. It brings me a lot of joy, and I really hope that you make a few more with the other sister, because I know they've done the brother and now 2 sisters, but like I think there's another sister that I need to read about. So yeah, if you've seen that like they're not as good as the first one or whatever that might be, I still highly recommend picking them up. They are the best palette cleansers. And once again, something about Sarah Adams, I can read her books in one sitting or like within a day. They are so easy breezy. I have beef with this series because it is taking me so long to get through, so I decided to audiobook some of this, and I also decided to finally just bite the bullet and not do the tandem read because I started it last year and I just cannot do it. I don't know why. And I thought, you know what, let's just listen to Sarah J Maas and the way she published and brought these books out, and let's just do that and see if that works for me. So you do you, boo. You do what works for you with the tandem reading. But I finally finished Empire of the Storms, and now I'm audiobooking Tower of Dawn, and they are the 2 that you can read at the same time. For me, I just found it easier to digest separately, and I'm not loving having to read Tower of Dawn. I just want to get to Kingdom of Ash, but I do have a love-hate relationship with this series, but for some reason it pulls me back in and I do love it. But yeah, the last 100 pages of this I absolutely loved, and I love how this one ends. So I'm very confused on how I'm going backwards with Tower of Dawn and kind of like rereading the timeline through different characters. I don't know, I need to hang in there. But yeah, I feel like this is like a 3.5, 4 stars. I just love it. I don't know what else to say. I can't describe this book to you because it is so deep in the series that it will be a spoiler. But I don't know, comment below if you're on this journey of the what's it called? If you're on the Throne of Glass journey with me. And the next book I read, I don't have the physical copy as well, but I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and oh my god, this book got me by surprise. I absolutely loved it, and I cannot wait to read the second book. I read this on my Kindle, and I also really want to purchase the books because they are so beautiful, but the third book just came out, so I've got some catching up to do, and I'm so happy to be in the world because it is beautiful. I did not think cozy fantasy was going to be for me. I didn't think the fairy world was going to be for me. I didn't know what to think about it, but oh my god, I loved it. I loved the banter. I read this book really quickly. I don't know, it was so beautifully written. I feel like I could picture the world and like the descriptive words so well. It just like immersed me in a different world, and I think as a naturopath, and like the flowers and that kind of world building was just like really beautifully to me, and like how it was so like healing. So I really loved, and I cannot wait to read the second book, which I think is like the map of something. But anyway, I read another book, which I don't have the physical copy, but this was another book club pick of the month, and it's The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. Is that correct? Now, this one was really fun. Not one of my favorites, but not something I'd probably pick up and read the series in a hurry or anything like that, but it was a really beautifully book, and something about book club probably made me love the book more when other people were putting their little, you know, takes on it and how much they loved it, because a lot of people in our book club rated it like 5 stars. Like they just really loved it. For me, it was like a 3.5 because it was like beautiful, it was easy, and I loved it, but like I didn't think deeply of it. But there is some really deep takeaways of this book that you can get out of it. So I know a lot of people love it for that. But for me, 3.5 stars. And yeah, a very cute, unique. I feel like it's a very unique book with the characters and like the world building. And it's like an orphanage of all these like characters. I feel like they're all different characters. Then I picked up a book when I was in Sydney. So if you've watched my Sydney vlog, you would have seen me buy this. But I had seen this everywhere, and then I saw it won like book of the year, I believe, and I was like, okay, I need to give it a go. But it is The Ministry of Time, and wow, I thought this book was going to be very like dystopian and really hard to get into, but it absolutely wasn't. So do not let this like shy away from picking it up, because it took off straight from like the first few pages. Like the first few pages I actually had me laughing out loud. I don't know why, but yeah, I really loved this. I rated it 4 stars. It takes you on quite the journey, and it feels very dystopian. It's like these people who have been brought to the future by the government, and like this lady is assigned to one of them. There's like these 4 people brought back. They have no idea about this new modern world because they come from like the 60s or 80s. Like it's like really crazy, and she is like, yeah, assigned to them. But it is, I don't know, it's very interesting. I don't want to say too much else, but yeah, it's the Ministry of Time, which to me, the Ministry of Time was like a government facility doing this like research analysis. 4 stars, I highly recommend, and I can see why this is book of the year because of the way it's written, and the plot was just so interesting. Next up, I read this also in one day in a recent cozy productive vlog. If you've watched that, you would have seen me read Wild Side. Now, the Rose Hill series is my favorite by Elsie Silver. I could not complete Chestnut Springs. I know that is like not a common opinion, but maybe I'll pick it back up another time. But something about when the Rose Hill series came out, I absolutely loved it, particularly the second book. Wild Eyes, the orange one, has been my absolute favorite. I loved those characters so deeply. This one was not my favorite because the characters kind of caught me by surprise. I was really confused who one of them was in terms of relation to the other 2 books out so far. But nonetheless, Elsie Silver does not miss in the Rose Hill series. This has you giggling, has you emotional, has you just like in awe of the way it's written. You can fly through her writing like no other. I feel like she reminds me of Sarah Adams for me in the way I can just speed through her books. But yeah, I really loved this. I love being in this world, and I actually cannot wait for the next one. But 4 to 4.5 stars for me. I absolutely loved it. And that is the 16 books I have read in 2025 so far. I feel like at the start of this, did I say 2024? I don't even know. In 2024. I feel like my reading year has been off to a really good start, and I want to keep the momentum going. There is lots of new releases out this week and this month, in April particularly. Like we have Fearless by Lauren Roberts. We have Emily Henry, Big Beautiful World. There's so many that I'm just really excited about. But yeah, I really enjoy reading. I hope you enjoy these reading wrap-ups. If you do, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because I always trinkle in my reading throughout my reset videos and my productivity vlogs. Comment below what's your favorite book of the year so far, and I will add it to my never-ending TBR. But as usual, lots of love from Lilybelle. Lots